Welcome back to Colors of Crutch. My name is Max Sternberg, also known as Wounded Satellite, and I'm joined with a very special guy. He's the most Dargo-looking man you'll ever meet. He's snazzy. He's terrific. And that makes him Snazzerific. How you doing today, Snaz?
That was cringe as fuck, but I'm waking up now.
do you want a different intro? Snaz, why don't you tell us a little bit about what brought you into CDH here?
Played some casual Commander, every Thursday, Saturday night at the LGS for years, and kept building slightly stronger and stronger decks to try and win more and more. And then Crick came out in 2019. You can't build that casually. I tried for a little bit, and then got yelled at for bullying people at tables, and then decided to tune it up to CEDH and play with some of there was like 5 people at the store that played CEDH, and they had their own little corner, and I went up and played a game with them and sat down and got a turn 1 win on Crick on my first game of CEDH ever, and everyone was like,
Seriously?
"Dude, that was awesome, let's shuffle up and play again," and no one bitched at me for it, and I was like, "This is sick."
Was that over at King's Court? Was that your locals?
I fell in love since. No, King's Court didn't exist. That's a relatively new store up in Mass. That was the Wiz in Central Mass, and they no longer exist. They shut down during COVID.
That's a shame. Okay, so after Crick, what was your next CDH deck you went for? How long did it take you to get to Dargo? Yeah, how long did it take you to get to Dargo? I guess it's the real curiosity.
That was 2019. Like, that was early-ish CEDH. Obviously, it wasn't like the Prosh days, but that was like Flash Hulk was still the thing to be doing, and Commander Legends hadn't come out yet. Theros Beyond Death hadn't come out yet. Like, none of that existed. I didn't get into more like meta tournament decks until that started happening. I played just at my LGS and with my brother and a couple of his homies from high school, and we played shitty kitchen table CEDH for like 3-4 years, and then I got into tournaments with the Mox Masters series, where I played Najila in my first ever CEDH tournament. Got shit on by Memo, which was fitting.
Nice.
And then I think that was like 2 months after Waffle had won his first tournament on Dargothras, and I was playing my brother's Najila deck because I didn't have anything that I thought was like up to standard for tournaments. Like, Crick's obviously glass cannon as hell. I had a Timnacrom deck, but it was like Opus Thief from back before Farm really existed, so it was not very good. So I wasn't really comfortable bringing anything to an event, so I just took my brother's Najila, and he had just built Dargothras, and I started playing that at my local in between events, started to really love it, ended up building it myself, so I wasn't just borrowing his shit all the time, and then I played that for like 15-20 tournaments. I don't know. I mean, that was. I mean,
you repped Dargo for a long
fucking
time, dude. Everywhere. Oh, the Dargo days. The Dargo days were good. I keep having Dargothras players.
I'm no Manila midget. or Frida Waffle, but
I feel like you are. I genuinely think you are probably number 3 for Dargothras. I don't think there's another person that could claim
the competition gets
there.
A little bit light after those two. I'm not gonna lie. Like, the field is not very big.
I mean, it's still a place to hold. But no, I did not realize. I've known you for a long time now. I had no idea that you've been playing for that long. I didn't realize you were back in the olden days of Flash Hulk and Hull Breacher and Pre-Commander Legends. You've been playing way longer than me.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't doing like events and shit, but I was playing CDH.
You were playing CDH. Yeah, no, that's awesome. No, it's actually so sick. And yeah, I mean, I've seen you. We've faced each other in quite a few tournaments. For some reason, you're always on Rogsai when I play against you. You were against Dargothras once in the like, infamous Obnixilis top 16, where you got
the first time we ever played. I was on Obnixilis. That was
you were on Obnixilis. Yes. Oh my god, I remember that game.
Griefed, and I Loved it.
I got griefed like 3 times in a row, and I was like, "What is going on right now?" Yeah, no,
Shout
that
out
was a
Connor
wild
B.
game.
Gave me that game. I appreciate it.
He did give you that game. Yeah. And then shout out Doc Lime giving me the odd top 16 against you.
Oh, brother.
you got beyond grief. That was karma coming back to you, my guy.
It was fucking brutal.
Yeah, that was a little bad. Dude, that game, I did not deserve that win at all. Holy shit. Oh.
Revealed defense grid win. Yeah, I'll spite pact you if you want to push me. Like, okay, sure, dude.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, you have quite the history of CDH. And I mean, you've done incredible in locals. It's kind of insane, like how much you've dominated local tournaments. I feel like the best description of you is as a Pokemon gym leader.
I just call myself a locals Larry. You know, I'm an LGS end boss, but then I show up to big events. And I'm like, okay, I guess I got like 40th.
Yeah, you're never like out of it, right? You're always like there in the last couple rounds fighting for the win and ends.
Put City, I was out of it.
Okay, Put City. You got pretty close though. You got pretty close.
Put City, I did not win a single game on my tournament deck the entire weekend, including LobbyCon. It was brutal.
But everyone else did.
Yeah. We switched decks around, and like 6 different people got wins with my deck before me. I remember.
Yep. Yeah. No, Dargo Thras is like the ultimate give it to a random person, and they just play it proactively, and then they realize you can play Teamer proactively, and it turns out Teamer is really good proactively.
Yeah, dude, turn 2 dog.
I feel like that's what happens every time. Yeah, it really is. All right. Let's get towards some of the topics for today. Announced just a few days ago was the Commander panel. Have you read up on this?
I brushed up on it a little bit this morning. I skimmed the article. I already knew like some of the CEDH representation on the panel, but I didn't really know the rest of it. So I looked over that.
What are your initial thoughts on this new version of a rules committee that's still within the umbrella of Wizards?
I mean, as far as I am aware, a handful of the people already on there were on the previous like rules committee / CAG or whatever. So nothing changed too much. We have a little bit more CEDH representation with like Deco. Not that I know him at all personally, but I've heard that he's pretty big down in the Brazilian CEDH area, and having a little bit of national representation is pretty cool. And then we have Lua up here in North America, so you know we have a couple more voices out there to be heard.
Yeah, no, it feels in a weird way CEDH relative to its actual percentage of people that play CEDH within the entire format is overrepresented, which is a positive thing. I think that shows a care for the power level and a care for like considering what is actually best for the format at all levels. And so it's not just going to be entirely this we don't care about CEDH casual focused mindset.
Yeah.
Deco is also someone I don't know too much about personally, but I just love that. I know that he's a very big name down in Brazil, and I got my original start on CEDH down in Brazil, so I love to see it.
Nice.
Dude, I keep seeing. I'll be real. Like most of the people on this panel board, I do not know who they are. Like I've heard some of the names in passing, but they're not someone whose content I've watched. The one I can't get out of my head is every single time I see Daquan Watson on a list, I just think of the Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson. And that's concerning to me, just because Deshaun Watson is so bad. It's nothing against you, Daquan. I just don't like Deshaun. But no, I mean, looking through some of the people, though.
Some of the Command Zone people are on there, like Josh Lee Kwai and, what's her name? Rachel... I'm forgetting her name.
Rachel Weeks.
Rachel Weeks, there it is, yeah.
Rachel Weeks. Yeah, which I mean, looking through those, like Benjamin Wheeler. Yeah.
They play like high power a lot of the time, and we're big advocates for like Mana Crypt and Jewel Lotus and everything. So while they're not like CEDH players, I think they're pretty CEDH adjacent and have a little bit of heart for the stronger end of the format that they'll speak up for. So I think that's good.
Definitely. Olivia Gobert Hicks falls into that same category of she also plays a lot of high power.
No idea who that is.
And she was one of the 5 people on the actual rules committee. She is, I believe, married to.
Yeah.
Yeah. She has the
She was the
channel.
one that
Was
Jim
it
was tweeting
Commander at
about,
Home?
advocated for keeping Crypt and JLo, right? Yeah.
Yes, she advocated pretty hard for it. So her I think they're married. Husband is Kibler, who's a famous old Pro Tour guy, and still an incredible Magic player. And he's a huge advocate of Hightower as well.
Yeah, I got introduced to Brian Kibler through Hearthstone.
Oh, actually?
Yeah.
I didn't know you played Hearthstone.
He was a. Oh, I was a big Hearthstone grinder in like 2016 or whatever.
Holy shit!
Trying to crack those like top 100 legend leaderboards. I never did.
You never did. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry.
Oh, dude, you have to play so much, man. Like, I was a teenager back then. You know, I was in high school, so I had school, I had a part-time job, and I'm like trying to fucking be at the top echelon of Hearthstone. Like, I don't have time for that. Taking
a break from work in the bathroom, just playing Hearthstone on your phone.
All right, I don't have to be called out like that. I may have done that a time or two. Some degenerate behavior.
We've all
do a quick face hunter game in the walk-in, you know.
Yeah, you just gotta get a quick one down. But one of the nice things about this panel that I will say when reading through it is they've expressly told everyone on the panel that it is okay for them to be public with their opinions and how they feel about things, versus the Commander Rules Committee, where they were always very hush-hush about people's opinions individually, and they kind of just existed as a group, even if someone disagreed. And that was where they said it was unusual for them to say something like, Olivia voted for us to not ban Mana Crypt and Jewel Lotus. They'd always had this vision of being this cohesive group no matter what. But because things are more public, it also means that things are going to be a little less hush-hush in what they're thinking, which also means more voices in total will be heard. So looking at someone like Olivia Gobert-Hicks, I would imagine she probably talks to Kibler about some of these decisions. And so she has the final call, but like a little bit of Kibler is also on this committee. A very similar thing can be said about Lua, where like Lua is a wonderful person and I absolutely trust her in her decision making, but she's about to be married to Ian. Then Ian is an incredible CDH player, and I would imagine that decisions that are important for this rules committee or this panel, she's probably going to have some amount of discussion with Ian about him. So a little bit of Ian is still in this panel, and I like that. I like that they can be more public with their opinions, and that means that more voices overall are actually getting heard, even if their names aren't necessarily on the list right here.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point. I think that is something like good to acknowledge, that a lot of these people are very integrated into Commander community and everything, and have a lot of outreach and people that they can talk to for different like points of views and you know, try and get new perspectives on the format that they themselves might not have. So
yeah, being able to be more public just allows that, versus having to keep something so quiet that you can't ask someone else their opinion. Moving on to the next thing here, the Commander format is about a breakdown into tiers. How do you feel about the tier system?
I mean, I think it's great. I think, like, my biggest distaste for casual was always, you know, trying to match power levels with whoever you might be playing with at your game store. Like, it's such a struggle to sit down and then be like, oh yeah, I have a 7, and then you're playing an actual 7 and you beat the shit out of them, and they're just like, it's a little too much for me. I'm like, okay, well, I have other decks, I can tone it down, but then they're already just like, oh, you're pub stomping. I'm like, no, you're just not able to communicate the strength of your deck effectively. So
yeah,
I think that it solves a lot of those issues, and it'll take some coming around for people to, you know, get used to it and everything. But I think ultimately it's a positive, and, you know, potentially even gives room for CEDH to have more of a definitive space and everything, because they could add like a bracket 5 that's more specifically for stuff like Oracle Consult and like Mox Diamond or whatever. And I don't know, I think it separates the stigma of like pub stompers and CEDH players if you have people that are just playing like two bracket 3 cards in their bracket 2 deck when they aren't supposed to, as opposed to someone playing like fast mana and Underworld Breach combos, you know.
Yeah. No, I think it definitely improves the overall power level conversation. I don't think it fully fixes it, because you can build very powerful decks synergistically out of very shit cards.
Yeah.
Like, I think a good example would be something like Mono Red Zada. Like, if you look at the card quality individually of Zada when not considering that it's Zada, like, it's all just red cantrips, which are going to be level 1. Like, they're nothing. They're target creature gets haste, draw a card type shit. But
Mhm.
when you just put all of those level 1 cards into Zada, it's like low-key almost a CDH deck. Like that card that created, it's wild. It just churns through its deck with such consistency, and it wins on like turn 3, turn 4 every game. So there's
Yeah,
going to be some issues with power levels still, but they're improved. They're
another
absolutely
one I've seen
improved.
people talk about in a similar vein is Light Pause. I don't really know anything about Light Pause, but you know, just
Yeah.
tutoring up random like shitty enchantments to Voltron up your commander super fast is something that is low power level but can snowball very quickly and take over tables.
Okay, another thing that's like it touches the border of CDH almost with Light Pause when you see it play out. Like if you just go turn 1 Light Pause, turn 2 put enchantment on it, you're like, I mean, no, there's someone who's brought like CD. There have been people who brought Light Pause.
I know. I've played
and got
against. I've
wins.
played
Like,
against CEDH Light Pause. I've never seen them win though.
they normally kill a player and lose the game, but you know they're trying, and I respect the effort. But it's
Yeah,
definitely
I
that's what I
think
mean.
it's
It can touch very high power, maybe not pure
Yeah.
CDH, but it can touch very high power while being built out of very what will most certainly be low bracket cards, if that makes sense. And that's where like they might have to look at commanders and put them in weird brackets relative to what you might think they should be in, where they might have to put something like Zada
because the
or
99
Light Pause.
might be low bracket, but the commander itself makes it strong.
Yeah, you might just have to put cards like that in a higher bracket than you would initially think you have to put them, just because of how they can be built.
I can see that. I do think that probably the biggest downside of the bracket thing is it seems like it could be a little bit gatekeepy for getting newer people into the format, because you can't just like slap a deck together of your favorite cards. You, depending on how your store works, you might have to like learn the bracket system and then like omit some cards that you might want to play so that you're not in a higher bracket than the people you want to play with. But ultimately, this can be solved by just playing with friends in Rule Zero again. So like, I don't think it's that big of a deal, but it is an extra layer of gatekeeping to the format. So
yeah, I mean it's gatekeepy, but it's also accessible, because one of the big concerns I know for some people getting into the format, because while CDH is the most proxy friendly format in existence, casual isn't always that, depending on where you're at. Some casual stores own all the cards, no proxies, and so a big thing for a lot of people was money, and what was almost gatekeeping to the format was like, there's so many $10 cards I need for my casual deck. And if you're building like a true level 1, level 2, or bracket 1, bracket 2 style deck, they're probably not going to be that expensive on average. Because I'd imagine even the cards like the Great Henge are probably going to be touching bracket 2, bracket 3.
yeah, no, I can see that, but I just think like it adds an extra level of difficulty to getting into the format that hasn't existed previously. Like, the more information someone needs to learn in order to start playing is going to inhibit some people from playing. It might not be a large number, but
yes,
it exists.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the majority of people get into Commander not by bringing their own deck, but by borrowing someone else's and falling in love with it. So I feel like that pathway still exists.
Yeah, no, I can see that.
And the other thing I truly love about the tier system, bracket system, whatever, I don't even know what the official name for it is, but something that has always felt like it would be this perfect happy medium in theory, but never seemed plausible in reality, was having a separate CDH ban list and a separate EDH ban list. Like, that's one of those things where it's like, if we could do it, if we could just say, hey, we get to play Thoracle Consult and you guys don't, that kind of stuff, the format would be better. If we could play Dockside and you guys could, maybe not Dockside, we'll get into that, but like, cards like that, if there was that clear separation, there never was, and it never something that seemed feasible to do. The tier system is the closest we've ever gotten to that being some type of reality, where we can say all of these cards are legal in the format, but they do not go in your deck. There's an express thing saying they do not go in your bracket 2 deck. You do not play Mox Diamond. That's just a CDH card. And I love
100%.
that separation now exists. I think that's the best. Like, that is the best thing to me out of everything about the bracket system.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of what I meant by like it gives room for CDH to have more of a definitive space thing. But I think we're like, what I've seen from the brackets thing right now is that it's not like quite at that distinction. But I know that they're not really intending to gear anything towards CDH, so that could be something in the future. But I mean, there's plenty of things in bracket 4 that are still like completely not CDH viable because they're just not good enough. Like, Armageddon or whatever.
Yeah, which the weird thing about that, and that's where there's an argument to changing what bracket 4 could mean, or like having the argument with Wizards to maybe make a bracket 5 that is clearly geared towards tournament CDH, because the problem is, while mass land destruction is frowned upon in normal, casual Commander, it's still something that is a strategy and is allowed to exist. And by putting cards in the highest tier, which the highest tier will represent the competitive format of that game automatically. If you put cards into that tier that are not actually viable in that tier, you're essentially soft banning them from the format, as they will never be played. Because if they can't be played in lower tiers and they will never see play in the highest tier, suddenly that card is in this awkward limbo of I have no place. And I don't think that's a good thing for cards.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've personally been a fan of just a hard ban to Armageddon for casual, period, because if you drop an Armageddon against me when we're playing casual, dude, I'm walking away. Like,
I've
CEDH,
seen it as a win
whatever.
condition.
I've been world fired in CEDH now, so anything can happen. That's fine. But
yeah, but like Armageddon effects are sometimes like a win con where you're just like, I'm gonna Armageddon to Fairies protection, right, or something like that, and like that's okay because you're using it to win the game. You're not creating a slog for another 3 hours.
Did you say win the game? You're not supposed to do that in casual.
You're allowed to win in tier 3. You're allowed to you're allowed to win in tier 3. You sometimes can win in tier 2, and then tier 1 you're supposed to not ever win. Yeah, that's the idea. I think that's pretty much how it goes.
Winning the game, you damn pub stomper.
Dude, it is bad since becoming a CDH player. Looking back at some of the shit I used to do in my casual decks, I was an asshole. Like, brother,
God,
I was just looping. I was looping Pernicious Deed and Oblivion Stone with Muldrotha day in and day out.
I literally was about to say that. I was playing one of my first casual decks was Muldrotha. I watched the Commander's Quarters video on Muldrotha and then built the shitty budget version and then slowly upgraded it to be like mid price range. And then occasionally played. I once played a 6-player pod at my LGS of casual Commander, and I played Muldrotha, and I Pernicious Deed locked them out of the game every fucking turn.
Oh my god.
It was so brutal.
So fun.
In a 6-player game. I was like, that's bully behavior, you know? Like, that is tie-in player activities.
It is time player activities. It was really bad. I miss those days a little bit though. But dude, my Muldrotha deck, mine, I had a similar curve where like it just slowly got better and better and better. But I took it way too far. Like at the end, when I go back and look at this deck list, I'm running LED. Like, I took it way too far. But I felt like, dude. I felt like I was in a safe space because I wasn't running Jeweled Lotus and I wasn't running the Fimage combo. So I was like, see, I'm a nice guy. I was just going infinite with Displacer Kitten, like an Atoll.
Oh my god.
Dude, Lotus Petal Displacer Kitten Muldrotha is cracked.
I
want to do that again so bad.
LED obviously exist, but like Kitten and all that stuff. I was playing Muldrotha in like 2015, 2016.
I was 2020.
We're playing like Spore Frog, baby.
Dude, my old TCG player store is called Spore Frog for the win.
Dude,
like I love Spore Frog. I considered getting a Spore Frog tattoo. Like that was a legitimate consideration of mine at one point.
Spore Frog's up there with my goat Ingot Chewer for funniest cards, dude.
Oh shit, dude! Chewing ingots on repeat.
No, you can't. He can't chew ingots. You know that? The only other card in Magic the Gathering with the word ingot in it is Darksteel Ingot, and it's indestructible.
Oh shit.
He actually was born to chew, and he is forced. He was born to chew ingots, and he is forced to chew Soul Rings, dude. He cannot chew ingots.
There literally isn't an ingot.
He lives in a cursed
ingot of
life.
magic he can chew. Holy shit. One day, Snaz, I think you have to make it your mission one time to play a Darksteel Ingot, gift it to somebody, remove Indestructible from it, and chew it with Ingot Chewer. Yeah, you can Shadow Spear. I think it is.
I think it is, because it's supposed to hit the gods, right, that aren't always creatures. I think it's all permanents.
Yeah, I think that was the whole idea. So you could do that. I think that should be a casual mission for you.
We have the line. We have the line.
Yeah, we just have to chew an ingot. You're going to chew an ingot with Ingot Chewer, and then suddenly all will be right in the world.
Oh, God.
Dude, imagine you assemble that. Like put this into your brain. harmless offering someone Darkstealing it. You've got Shadow Spear on the battlefield. You remove the indestructible. You evoke a fucking Ingot Chewer, ready to accomplish your life goal, and like the person who has
it
just
hit
hit you
right now.
With regular old counterspell. Thanks, you start all over. I would scoop as well.
GG, go next.
GG. You're gonna be so hype in that moment, and no one's gonna understand why you're so hype.
Exactly.
No one will have any understanding of what the hell you just accomplished.
What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, why is this a big deal to you? Why do you care about what?
Bro,
dude,
there's
a Phyrexian altar on the battlefield. Why are you hitting my Darkstealing it that you gave me?
I have to chew the
You just say, we're playing a different game, man. I'm sorry. I don't care about who wins.
You guys are not on my level. I have plans within plans.
Oh my god. I wish I could edit in, like, instead of, like the Zach Galifianakis math meme. Just like your face, but with various ingots going around. Just various ingot cheaters floating around your head. Oh, that'd be so good. Oh, that'd be so fucking funny. All right. Our other topic for today. Now that we have this new tier system, Wizards has said that they are going to reevaluate the ban list. How does that make you feel?
Bring back my boy.
Okay, genuine question. But, having played CDH a lot after it was banned, do you think the format is better without Dockside?
Why you have to ask me this? You break my heart. Because I want him back, but I know it's for the best. Like, actually, like, being able to play decks that have artifact strategies, like Shorikai is something that Waffle's been playing a lot lately, and being able to develop and not just die turn 2 and get punished for, playing your fucking Manifold Key is something that we have not experienced in a long time. And I will painfully admit, it is a little bit refreshing to not have to, panic, tiptoe around someone's Dockside count being 5.
Yeah.
But God, I miss that goblin, man.
I think it's pretty well summed up when Elsha, after losing Dockside Mana Crypted Jeweled Lotus, got better.
We got it right here. Dude,
I've been watching you cook on Elsha. You've been cooking people on Elsha. That deck is gas.
I'm just playing Enchantment Tribal now. I'm up to 13 enchantments in my deck. We're playing just guy enchantments. Yeah,
holy
dude.
Shit.
We're cooking.
Dude, watching you instant speed a
That's
Static
why I have
Prison
Sarah
off the
Sanctum
top.
now.
I know, dude. I'm so mad. Dude, I sold my Sarah Sanctum like 4 months ago, and I'm so bad about it. I was like, I'm just never using this.
And it's somewhat playable now.
Now it is somewhat occasionally playable, and it makes me cry. I need one again. Oh, no.
Yeah, I know Nastrom's been cooking with Sarah Sanctum and Amphibian Downpour in Tameshi for a little bit.
A lot of people have been doing that. It's really good.
I've only gotten to pull it off once in Elsha, and it made me 12 white mana immediately. And it was I flashed it in end step before my turn with my Sarah Sanctum already out, made 12 mana and just started flashing in artifacts off the top, still in end step. And then this was all through a blind obedience, so they're all entering tapped. But then I just go to my turn, and now I have like 17 more mana that I suddenly didn't have like 30 seconds ago. I'm like, cool.
Now it's just such a gas deck. But so, moving on from that as well, I think we're in agreement about Dockside. It's such a fun card. It's such a cool card. It adds so much creative space with combos. So many decks can be built around it. But the format might be better off without it because it is just beyond fucking broken and led to so many non-games. Is kind of my view of it.
I love it.
How you feel about, hypothetically, if they wanted to reevaluate, let's just start with Mana Crypt.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mana Crypt should not have been banned. I think that it is, at least from a competitive standpoint, it is a core staple of the format. It is a reason that people play CEDH. I want to play fast mana. I want it to do broken shit. And having the mana to do broken shit faster is just, it's the point of the game to me. And I think, we'll probably get to Jewel Lotus in a second, but I think Jewel Lotus falls under the same vein of doing broken shit fast, so I don't think that those should have gotten the axe.
Yeah, those ones are much more debated in my brain overall. My experience without Mana Crypt and talking to other people without Mana Crypt, what I do think is cool about losing Mana Crypt is the diversity of play patterns it has led to by losing it, where very often people were just turn 1 tutor, put Mana Crypt on top. Like, that was an incredibly common play pattern. And now that's not always the call. And so having people actually think about what is the best contextual play instead of having this fallback of just, I'm putting Mana Crypt on top, I think is actually a huge positive. Like, I think if there's one thing that is always the best thing to do there, that's necessarily not good for the format. And that's kind of my vote against Mana Crypt coming back from everything that I've heard and seen. Though, would I be, like, up in arms if Mana Crypt returned? Absolutely not. I think it is, like, overall okay if it were to come back. But I do think that losing Mana Crypt in combination with Dockside is a huge part of what has slowed down the format overall and allowed things to be more diverse and allow stuff like Elsha that even like losing all that fast mana has just led to so many more decks being viable. Because while everyone was like, I can't play my 5 mana commander now, it doesn't matter because everything is so much more slowed down. Most games are ending on turn 5, turn 6 now, so it's much more reasonable to just play whatever you want to play because you're not just going to die to someone having 2 gas in the hand right away most of the time. It'll still happen sometimes, but those rates are down for sure. So Mana Crypt, I'm kind of okay staying gone personally, just in combination with Dockside. I think losing the 2 most broken pieces of fast mana, not the worst thing. But Mana Crypt, I'm much more happy to return than Dockside. Jeweled Lotus, on the other hand, bring it back. Bring back Jeweled Lotus.
Let me play my Malcolms in turn 1. Let me play my Najila, you know?
Yeah.
Let someone else have a turn 1 deflecting SWAT in Fierce Guardianship other than Rograg.
Yeah, I think Jeweled Lotus is, while broken and a very good card, it's not repeatable mana every turn. It's not stored up like treasures. It's just, I'm going to get my commander on the battlefield and we're playing a format called Commander.
Not repeatable every turn. Brother, you haven't seen Carl cook on Jensen Luris.
Does he play Jeweled Lotus in that deck?
I don't think so.
I was going to say, in his 1 white, 1 green commander.
I'm just fucking with you.
But Jeweled Lotus,
but
is
it's
fine,
repeatable,
right? And also Jeweled Lotus gives you such a reasonable mulligan plan for a lot of decks, where it's yeah, that's my Malcolm plan. Is I'm looking for turn 1 Malcolm. That's my Najila plan with Talion, like especially the 4-man commanders like Talion and Omnixilus and Urza and Shurikai and all these things. Jeweled Lotus just lets you develop a little bit faster, but not in a way that it's, I am allowed to do everything I want in this game and everything is broken. It's just get my commander on the battlefield, which is it's very powerful. No one's denying that it's still a busted thing to do, but it's not in the realm of too busted because it's not giving you the mana for all of your spells. It's just your commander. And I think Jeweled Lotus is fine. And I really
Lotus,
like it.
Broken card. Black Lotus for 1 thing, 1 card, ever.
It's reasonable. It's reasonable. Yeah, please bring Jeweled Lotus back. That one I would preach for. I look at my Omnixilus and Talion deck list and God, please, for the love of God, give me back J-Lo. Because now that would be the tutor target for a lot of things. Would just be for those decks J-Lo. But if your tutor target is J-Lo and not Mana Crypt, that's so reasonable when you really think about that. That's so fucking reasonable.
It's your 1 and done. But I don't know. I mean, if I have to turn 1 Enlightened Tutor for a Mana Vault to cast my Smothering Tithe again, I might cry.
Oh God, yeah.
I've gotten blown the fuck out by having to do that and then not having any mana for the rest of the game. It's I'll resolve the Smothering Tithe and then I'll flood your Smothering Tithe and then stuff. Well, I'm dead.
Smothering Tithe has seen such an uptick in play. It's kind of insane.
Yeah,
it is such a good card.
We just lost all of our best mana acceleration, so I think the biggest restriction of competitive viability is mana production now rather than card advantage.
Yeah, and that's why decks like Kennen and Roxai are really good.
Bastards, was your plan all along.
Honestly, dude, I just got everything I ever asked for. It's somehow bundled up. They literally, it was they shot my bird out of the sky. It fell to the ground, and then a zombie arm of Kennen just came out of the grave and said, "I'm back, baby."
Just fucking resurrected from the pits of disparity. We had just bullied Kennen out of the format, and now here we go again.
I stay on Tropical Island, my guy. I do not leave that place. It is a beautiful place.
So bullshit.
It's so good, dude. It's so good. So, do you think Nadu should be back? I want Nadu back. I genuinely believe Nadu should be back. Honestly. No. Why should Nadu not be back? For CDH, again, disregard everything casual. I'm aware there are so many issues with Nadu being casual. I'm not talking about casual at all. I'm strictly talking CDH. Should Nadu be allowed in CDH?
I still think no. I mean,
Why?
it is a 3 mana value commander that is kill on sight and immediately wins the game when it comes down. Like, yeah, 3 mana commanders that are really powerful exist. You know, Najeela exists, but Najeela doesn't win the game immediately when it hits the board.
Neither does
Nadu does. No. Brother, do you wanna bring Pigeon on for a guest appearance and talk about our winning in game at the Top Deck Open? Like, Nadu's hit the board and we lost immediately turn 2.
I mean, will that sometimes happen? Yeah. Also, Nadu can be built in various ways, but like, it's not like Nadu by itself is a self-contained engine. It requires the deck to be heavily built around it, and you need other pieces to go with it. Like, that is true.
Yeah, but a lot of those pieces are just like, other than Shuko and Greed, like the super broken ones that are just actually terrible cards without your Nadu in play. A lot of the other pieces are like provide other incremental synergistic value, like Sylvan Safekeeper and the Ephetos and whatnot, you know, giving you artifact ramp and stuff. And they're cards that you're fine to just play. And it's not that big of a deck building restriction when you're already playing Simic and your color pool is, you know, you don't have a ton of choices anyway, so you're like, yeah, sure, I'll play this essentially 2-mana mana dork that when I play my commander draws me 9 cards a turn cycle.
Yeah,
it's not that big of a drawback.
It's fucking gas, bro. Bring back Nadu. Oh my god. So my opinion on Nadu is like, I agree with you that it's very powerful. I think it would immediately be a top 3 deck in the format. Like, it would be one of the best decks, hands down. But is it actually good enough that it should be banned in CEDH? I do not think so.
I mean, I think there's also a strong argument for you know, the health of tournaments with the amount of time equity that it takes. It's a similar, like, people have talked about, I don't think Krark is usually as, but people have talked about the banning of Krark because it takes up so much time on storm turns that it's not healthy for a tournament structure. And I think that that's a real argument that you can apply to Nadu in the same way, because when you're going through all these Nadu triggers every turn, nobody else is getting to play the game. Like, you're not.
If you talk to anyone who plays Nadu consistently, though, we go so fast. Like genuinely, you know, that picture, the picture of the guy reading the book while I'm storming through my deck at Fishbowl, right?
It's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, it's a hilarious picture, but that picture does not tell the actual story. One, I had deterministic win, and the guy told me to play it out and pulled out a book for fun. There was no reason for me to play out the game. I had it deterministically on board. It was 100% a situation that I would just scoop it up to that person. But secondarily, the amount of time it took for me to draw through my entire deck there was like 4 minutes. It's not like it was some egregious 40-minute turn. Like, how long do you think it takes someone when they nause and have to come up with a line? Is that really any different?
Well, I don't necessarily mean when you're like going through your win turn with like a Shuko and you're drawing like 50 cards or whatever, and like, yes, it takes time equity, but like, y'all kind of know you're gonna get there, so who really cares that you're taking long to do it? I mean more like the value Nadu triggers over the course of a game, where you're just like Epheto-ing, you know, 8 times a turn cycle, and you're doing kind of a similar effect to Thrasio Seedborn, where you're just taking up a bunch of time equity on the end step of everyone's turns, except you're doing it way more often and consistently than Thrasio Seedborn ever is.
Yeah, but those things are so quick. Because also, like, Thrasios, if you look at that, the problem with Thrasio Seedborn is the scry. Because it's not just you get this card, it's you have to think about if that's the card you want. And that's what actually takes up the time with Thrasio Seedborn, is the consideration period. With Nadu, that doesn't exist. It's just Nadu trigger, everyone passes, reveal. It takes 4 seconds. Like, it's incredibly efficient. And when you actually... Yeah, but that's... Okay, so if you're telling me an entire turn cycle, I spent 28 seconds on my Nadu triggers, that's less time than most people will spend considering one thing at the start of their turn. Like, that's not a big piece of time equity. When people are playing Nadu efficiently, the deck is super fast. I'm aware that, like, I am someone who can play the deck very, very quickly, and I ask people, like, is this a problem? And they were like, with you playing it, absolutely not. So I can't speak to how every single person plays it, but I do think it's one of those decks that should just be said, like, hey, you know, if you're taking up too much time, just be quick to call slow play on people when they're playing Nadu. Just be really quick to say, you can't be taking this long on your triggers. You have to be more efficient. But I don't think that the deck should be non-existent in the format just because of that. Like, that is genuinely some of the most fun I've ever had playing Magic, and it's not within a power level that's unacceptably tier 0, nothing can compete with it. It's just in the top tier, and it's okay to have more things in the top tier. Like, why should I be denied that? You know, why should I be denied playing the Magic I want to play just because some people don't like it? I don't like Tayam. I'm never going to say
you
don't
already
play that
have
deck.
Kinnan.
No, but genuinely, right, like saying I don't like playing against it is a terrible rule, or like a terrible philosophy, because there's so many people that hate Tayam and shit like that. No, but some people do, right? A lot of people are just like, oh, I just hate that deck. Fuck that deck. That's not a reason that other people who like that deck shouldn't get to play. Like, that's fuck you, because there's a lot of people who hate stacks. There's a lot of people that hate control. There's a lot of people that hate playing against turbo decks. Congratulations, they exist in the format. They are a part of the format. The same way that Nadu should be a part of the format. It's okay if you don't like playing against a certain deck. Those decks exist. But the real questions when you're looking at Nadu is, does it actually take up too much time equity? And the answer is, if you know how to play the deck, it doesn't. So the people who are realistically most likely playing in tournaments with Nadu, I understand for casual CDHs, people are learning the deck might be a problem, but in tournament CDH, Nadu is not that big of a problem, because the people who are playing in tournaments should know how to play the deck efficiently, and it's not too powerful that it's like ban-worthy on a pure power level scale. It's just within that top tier.
I do think that that's a fair point. The difference in time equity between an experienced player and someone who's, you know, newer to the deck is definitely vast, and when it gets to the higher ends of tournaments, you're probably not running into that. That's probably...
Bring back my bird.
What do you think of any other cards that have been on the ban list that could potentially come off of it with the introduction of the bracket system, though?
And the other part of that question is also which ones would actually see play in CPH, right? Like, unbanning Coalition Victory, I don't give a fuck. Like, do it. Yeah, it should be unbanned. But like, I don't
plenty of that. Yeah, that's more what we're talking about. Plenty of people can have fun with their Coalition Victories and their, you know, I guess I was gonna say Rafellos, but I guess Kinnan can play Rafellos.
I don't think we do.
Really?
Like, well, it only cares about forests, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, you're just fetching up a breeding pool and a tropical land, all of a sudden you have a 3-mana.
Well, if you actually look at Kinnan,
dork.
I only play 5 fetch lands right now, and I only have 3 forests in the entire deck. So it's like not that crazy, and it's the problem is like you really want the consistency with Kinnan, and on turn 2, because you know we play lots of mana confluence, emergent zone, whatever fucking lands, like cool, it maybe taps for 1 mana. As like that's pretty common. It's just gonna be like a 1 mana, 2 mana dork. I don't think it's worth it at all. But the card that I think should be unbanned above all other cards, that would be the most interesting addition to the format and would actually add viability to a lot of other strategies, is Fastbond. I think Fastbond would be sick.
Fastbond would be gas.
Fastbond would be so sick.
I would play the absolute shit out of a Thrasvile Fastbond deck.
Oh fuck. Well, you need something that lets you play lands off the top too.
We're just like, oh, Glarb.
Does Glarb let you play lands off the top?
Yeah, dude.
Oh shit, dude. Glarb is gonna run the fuck out of Fastbond. That'd be gas.
Dude, I'm like Exploration right now in Glarb. Just for one.
But like Tatyova would get to play it, AEC gets to play it, Sakashima Kadama would get to play it. Like, there's a lot of decks that would really be able to take advantage of Fastbond. I don't think I would play it again, like, genuinely.
I don't think Fastbond as just a one-off card is something that would be enough to bring decks like Tatyova or AC into the meta, though.
Oh, I think it is.
I disagree just because of how untutorable it is in those colors.
Dizzy
It's
spell.
A really gas card when it comes up, but you're playing a random one enchantment that you have no consistency of finding for your strategy, and
Dizzy
the rest
spell.
of your deck is not good enough to.
They can
compete.
transmute for it.
That's also a shitty card.
Yeah, but if it gets you, I mean,
What's
you
the transmute cost on Dizzy Spell?
1 blue. Transmute's always the same cost.
Yeah, so you're paying 4 mana for your Fastbond by like turn 3 or 4. Like, you're seriously thinking that that's gonna keep up with what everyone else is doing?
In the current format, yes. Because imagine this, right? You play 36 lands or whatever in your Tatyova deck. You're able to ramp out Tatyova on turn 3, as that's what your deck is trying to do. And then turn 4, you transmute for Fastbond, play Fastbond, and start just storming off through your deck. I think that's a very real thing.
I mean, it's definitely strong. It's stronger than anything Tatyova is doing right now, but I just don't think that the consistency for that is really there. Like, you have the card, and you have one tutor for it.
It also, the other thing about Fastbond is it is an infinite mana combo as well.
Yeah, I don't think any of the infinite mana combos are very good for CEDH, just because of how shit card quality they are. Like, shit like Zurin Orb or whatever is... I don't want to be playing a Zurin Orb in my deck, but it's an option.
Imagine if you're on a Sultai Nas list. with like fast spawn Zern Orb combos, and so like if you get down your Zern Orb early, you could sack your lands in response to your Nas to have more life. We're cooking.
I mean, it just brings your Nas back up to a regular life total, right?
I guess.
If you already took like 8 damage off of fast spawns, and you're like, alright, I got this Nas, I'll sack my 8 lands, and we're back up to like 38 life.
Well, no, I mean, if you have fast spawn Zern Orb and I guess a Ramanop Excavator or whatever the fuck it is, you already have infinite life. You can infinite life your Nas, bro.
If you have infinite life, bro, just cast your Thrasios. You're playing Sultai. Like,
yeah, that's fair. All right, but fast spawn, I think the point is fast spawn. It wouldn't be too good. It would be very good, but it wouldn't be too good. And I think it would be a really, really interesting addition to the format. And I really hope they abandon it. They just have to put that bitch in the highest tier and make it real clear that it is in the highest tier, so no one touches that shit in casual.
Yeah, that's your bracket 5. We'll make them out with bracket 5.
That is the bracket 5. How do you feel about Primeval Titan?
Yeah, easy unban. I don't even think it really sees that much play. I mean,
that's more my question. Where do you think it sees play?
Like, cheating it out, obviously very strong, and then it ramps you into your Gaia's Cradle and whatever other broken land you want to find. But they enter tapped, and that's a really big tempo loss for making a splashy play like that. It makes me think, why would I want to cheat out this Primeval Titan to go get 2 tapped lands when I can cheat out a Razaketh and try and win the game, or a Broodlord and try and win the game? I don't think it's going to be that strong. I think, I don't know, maybe you'll fuck around with it in Kinnan since you can flip into it or something.
It's a maybe for Kinnan. I'm like very torn.
It's still like pretty weak.
Yeah. I'm not sure. So I guess the real question is where does it see play? Probably, I don't know. Like decks that really want Gaia's Cradle, I guess maybe.
Yeah, but decks that really want Gaia's Cradle,
such better ways to get it.
Yeah, like there's all kinds of other land tutors that come down on like turn 2 or 3 that don't require a huge investment or don't require like using potential tutors or combos to like combo pieces to find. Like if I'm reanimating a Primetime when I could be reanimating a WinCon later.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think it sees significantly less play in CDH than people think it might, but I do think it sees an egregious amount of casual play if it is unbanned.
Oh my god, yeah.
Like an unbelievable amount of.
Dude,
how do you feel about Sylvan Primordial? This I think would actually see CDH play.
All right, hold on. I might have to look that one
up. Wait, I want to see. Can you pull it up and then I want to see if I can just get it. Let me see if I can just remember how the fuck this card works. I'm just looking at the name right now. I don't know.
Oh, right.
Okay, is it 5 green?
Yes.
Is it a 6/6?
No.
7/7?
It's a 6/8.
It's a 6/8. Is it an elemental?
Nope.
Avatar?
It's an avatar. Yeah.
Okay. And then its text is, when Sylvan Primordial enters the battlefield, destroy. Is it up to 1 or 1?
It is target non-creature permanent, so you have to.
So you have to select one for each opponent. Okay.
Yep.
For each opponent, destroy target non-creature permanent that player controls. For each destroyed this way, search for a forest card, or is it a basic forest?
It's a forest card. They can be.
It's a forest card. Okay, that's kind of hot. And are they tapped on the battlefield or untapped?
Tapped.
Tapped. Okay. Do you think that's okay to unban? And do you think it would see play?
You missed the best part of the card, bro. It has a keyword.
Does it have reach?
It has reach, bro.
Yeah,
it's a 6/8 with reach. Fuck
Dude,
your
fuck
Croms.
All right, right there, that fuck your Crom, that's the intro clip right there. That was great. We said that shit at the same time.
I mean, who's casting Crom these days anyway?
Yeah. That's 2023 magic, yeah.
Guy comes out on turn 4, like.
Have you seen anyone try to build
Timna
Ludovic now? Like, has that happened?
No. It would still just be for colors, like, and you don't want to give your opponents cards.
Yeah, exactly. So do you think Sylvan Primordial should be unbanned, and do you think it would see CDH play?
I think it would see CDH play in just Kinnan.
I think I played in Kinnan, yeah. That one seems good enough.
Spinning into that thing and just blowing up, a Ristic Study, something, in response to like a win condition, and then you get value on the other 2 people. It's absolutely disgusting. And it ramps you.
And it ramps me. It's kind of hot. It's kind of fucking wild, actually.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, you going through you were talking yesterday about your like Kinnan curve, where you're going land Dork, turn 2 land Kinnan, cast a 2-mana rock. and then turn 3 something broken. Turn 3
But the other
something
thing about
broken,
it-
Sylvan Primordial is fucking disgusting.
Yeah, no, it really is. But also, it's especially good right now because everything is slowed down. It's not like there isn't a viable target. Like everyone is going to have a land to hit at a minimum because you can blow up lands with this thing.
Yeah, you can
Oh fuck!
blow up their Soul Ring turn 1. You can, blow up their Mana Vault before they get their Smothering Tithe down.
Dude, maybe I finally submit to higher and play Deadeye Navigator and just Deadeye Sylvan Primordial people out of the game.
All right, now we might be cooking a little too hard.
No, dude, I would be so fucking down. I would be so down.
Someone sent me a Rogthras list yesterday, post bans, playing Peregrine Drake.
And Deadeye?
No. He was playing Peregrine Drake with Lily Splash Mentor.
Oh, that works too. Okay.
Peregrine Drake just in a deck in 2024.
Yeah.
So fucking funny to see, dude. I love that shit. I mean, he's also one of the things he's trying to do is he's playing all like different land enchantments like Wild Growth, Utopia Sprawl, Fertile Ground.
Yeah.
I think there's a 3-mana one in there. I think it's Overgrowth. What's the name of it? And so he's playing, Cloud of Fairies, Frantic Search, and Peregrine Drake, and just all this shit that untaps your lands because he's ritualing off of them.
Yeah.
And they also combo with Lily Splash Mentor and whatnot. And I'm like, he's
kind
of cooking. He's kind of cooking.
Dude. He's doing a thing. I'm gonna end his fucking life with a Beseju, but he's cooking.
Yikes! 3 enchantments on a land.
And I'm just like, all right,
Beseju.
1 mana Beseju. It's a great 8 mana you've invested into that land there, buddy boy. Untap trigger in the stack, get fucked.
Brutal.
I mean, that is real though, because in the Thrasios deck, you just turn the mana into cards.
Make mana? Oh, my heart.
I mean, I love Frantic Search. It's like one of my favorite cards in Magic, honestly.
It's so fun.
Another card that I think should 100% be unbanned, and I think has been proven that it's totally fine to unban, is Recurring Nightmare.
Oh yeah, I mean, Chthonian Nightmare was really good with Dockside. Recurring Nightmare obviously lets you do different broken stuff with reanimating fatties, but like reanimation is not something that is even really viable in CEDH. I mean, there's fringe things that people are doing with Razaketh and Broodlord, and then obviously like Crick exists, but just Swords the Crick. Sorry, I leaked the strategy. My fault. Oh, don't listen.
Dude, Fonzie's coming for you. Fonzie's gonna fucking light you up.
Oh, who's that at the door?
Yeah.
FBI, open up.
Nah, that was just Cantrell, bro. He's fucking ready to go.
Dude, like, Reanimator sucks, is more the gist of it. And I don't think adding another piece for Reanimator support is going to make it viable. It's just, it'll make it a little more consistent, but ultimately what they're doing with Reanimator it's just not that strong.
I got, I guess, 5 more cards I'm interested in hearing your kind of quick opinions on here. I'm just going to list them off. You lived through these days. Should Hull Breacher return?
I might be a little biased. Because I was playing Opus Thief when the card came out.
Uh-huh.
Opus Thief really liked Hull Breacher. And also really liked other people playing Wheels to support their Hull Breacher, because when they played one for value, I'd get to Hull Breacher it, or Notion Thief it, or whatever the fuck I was doing. Alms Collector,
That shit is miserable, bro. That shit is so miserable.
So, I loved the Hull Breacher era, because I was abusing the fuck out of it. But, I don't know. That card is definitely really toxic, and I do think that we need more draw hate in the format, but turning draw hate into advantage for yourself at the curve that Hull Breacher did was disgusting, and the fact that it also turns itself into a proactive card by, letting you Hull Breacher wheel and then have mana to win off your wheel was pretty degenerate play patterns. I think Notion Thief is I think a better example of how it should be done, because it is both more susceptible to dying, being a 1-power creature. It's more expensive, and while it can be proactive, 2 colors, harder to cast, and while it can be a more proactive card by doing Notion Thief wheel, you still have to be able to convert after that wheel, and sometimes you're just like, well, I found a mana rock, pass, fuck, that happens. There was variance with it, and then Hull Breacher just didn't really have that.
No, Hull Breacher says I can cast everything I draw 100%, and it also... Oh, you're good. It also just did this thing where everyone was fucking miserable all the time. Like, losing to Hull Breacher was the fucking worst. I never played against it in CDH, but in casual, it was absolutely atrocious. What are your opinions on the return?
Not played in casual.
No, dude. What are your feelings about which again, this is a banning that I know is very controversial when it happened, this next one. I agree with it for casual because of the homogenation problem with it. I actually do agree with this ban for casual, but for CDH, how would you feel about the return of Golos?
I don't think Golos is even very good. Bro, like, if I'm gonna play a 5-mana or if I'm gonna play a 5-color commander, I want to play something that has, you know, more synergy with like what my deck is doing. I think Kenrith is just a better card than Golos. Yeah, it finds your Gaia's Cradle or your Sarah Sanctum now, if you want to be doing that. But like, it's an infinite mana outlet in the command zone for 5-color. Kenrith does that and more. I don't know. Like, I don't think Golos is very good.
Okay, I would agree. What are your thoughts on Gifts Ungiven?
I don't think that card's very good either. I think you get it for your breach piles as like a second intuition, and then the other I think any other strategies using Gifts Ungiven to try and do some kind of graveyard shenanigans once again falls into kind of a similar vein as the Reanimator problem, where what they're already doing is not very broken, and giving them another piece to help do that is not something that I'm really too concerned about. So,
okay.
Yeah, you get a second intuition.
And having lived through these days, how do you feel about Flash?
Flash is very interesting because I think card quality of CEDH decks has gone up such a large amount since it was, you know, like reigning over the format. And yes, the like turn 0 win threat of Flash with, you know, Gemstone, Spirit Guide, Flash Hold, turn 0 would exist again. I think we have more tools to combat that, and also the sacrifice of running, you know, the shitty card quality in your deck, like Protean Hulk and pieces to fix your Hulk pile, like, I don't know, some people would play like Body Wanderer and stuff like that. They're not good cards. It makes the card more fair, and I think previously, before like the Dockside bans and everything, the stronger argument for not wanting Flash to come back was it also enables not just Flash Hulk degeneracy, it enables Flash Dockside degeneracy, so that you could just win at instant speed with your Dockside combos. But that's not a thing anymore that we have to worry about. It would just be Hulk or Thoracle, and I don't think that that is more broken than things that we're already doing. Born Upon a Wind exists, guys. Like...
Born Upon a Wind is also a card I think should potentially be banned, if I'm being honest.
Just let me resolve my silence to stop him from winning, guys. Nothing bad will happen. Trust me.
Yeah. No, Born is honestly, that is, we can talk about that in a second here. I think I had one more card I wanted to ask you about. Yeah,
just yesterday
genuinely...
I played a game where 3 people tried to win on the same turn with Born effects. Like,
yeah. How do you feel about Emrakul the Eon Storm?
That's the 15-man Emrakul, right? The original one?
Imagine me spinning into that in Kinnan.
It has Annihilator ability,
6.
right?
Annihilator 6.
Annihilator 6.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that great. You know, some people might try and fuck around with it. Annihilator is not a mechanic that lends itself to a multiplayer format because you're just gonna murder one dude and then die to one of the other two.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the biggest draw to the card.
So the other thing is, in Kinnan, I can actually cast it. Like, I make 15 mana pretty regularly, and it does just give me an extra turn.
Sure. If you're spending one of those turns to just play a 15-15, though, then you're kind of just taking one turn anyway.
Yeah, but the hot thing is, if you think about all the synergies in there between, like, the One Ring and everything else, like, it actually is a legitimate thing to be doing. If Emrakul the Eon Storm is unbanned, I do think I'd play it in Kinnan.
Sure. I think... if that's a route that you want to go with it, why are you not already playing the 13-mana Emrakul?
Because it doesn't give me an extra turn. And also, the 13-mana Emrakul doesn't do anything if you spin into it. If you spin into it, it's just a 13-13. The cast trigger is the reason to play that Emrakul. The 15-mana Emrakul is a legitimate fucking bomb on the board that gives me an extra turn on cast, but more specifically gives me an extra turn, not an opponent an extra turn, that I have to steal their turn. So I get to do my own proactive things with it.
So you're not really concerned about the extra turn from the 13-mana Emrakul?
No, I'm talking about
stealing their turn, and then you're turning the game from a 1v3 into a 2v2.
Yeah, but my point is the 15-mana Emrakul is something I want to spin into still. Like, I'm still happy if I hit that, because then everyone's looking at it like, oh, please don't hit me. Like, please don't swing this at me.
I disagree. I don't think that just having a huge flying Eldrazi with Annihilator 6 is something that you should really be interested in, because it's just going to lend itself to attacking one person, turbo fucking them out of the game, and then you're going to lose to someone else that you now have one less ally to stop because you just fucked them. I think that'll be a very common play pattern with Emrakul. I don't think that's okay.
I think it's okay. I think it's solid. I think I would play the Eon Storm.
I think that card would kick make the shit out of people.
maybe sometimes. I would definitely test it. But it's unbannable, right? Like it could be unbanned. I think it would be fine.
Yeah, I think it's unbannable, but I don't think it sees play.
That's fair. And the last card I do want to talk about now, Born Upon a Wind. You play with Born a lot. You play against Born all the time. Is that a card you think the format would be better without?
I wholeheartedly believe that Born Upon a Wind is the best card that has been printed for CEDH in like a couple years. It warps game states in a way that we have never really seen before. I mean, obviously Green has had access to Crop Rotation E-Zone for a long time, but they don't always, sometimes you have the E-Zone in your hand, or the E-Zone's in play already, and I tapped it on my turn to cast something, oops, and now I don't have this window to win. But Born Upon a Wind, just, being unrevealed information that allows you to win over the top of something is a very degenerate play pattern when you get into these long mid-range grind fests where everyone has half their deck in their hand, and everyone's running Born Upon a Wind, and then you just get into what I was talking about earlier with 3 or 4 people just trying to win on the stack on top of each other at the last turn in time. It's chaos. It's stupid. I have a very big love-hate for it, because on the one hand I do really like doing like big complicated stack wars and everything. That's my bread and butter for CDH. I love that kind of stuff, but it's pretty degenerate, like if 4 people are trying to win in the same turn, something's gone wrong. Like
yeah.
I don't think that those patterns should really exist. But on the flip side, I love what Born enables for the card Necropotence.
Oh, you think that's a good thing?
I do. Necropotence has been one of my favorite
me,
cards in Magic for a very long time, and it has been a very mediocre card in CEDH for a very long time. Because you're drawing a bunch of cards, sculpting your win for next turn, but then you're passing, and then everyone knows that you've sculpted a win for next turn, and they just stockpile interaction to stop you, or politic themselves into resolving broken shit because we have to stop this guy next turn. And it was not very great. Like, Necropotence was a mediocre card. Born Upon a Wind has made Necropotence the best card in Rogside. And I love Necro, so I have a love-hate with Born.
That's fair. For me, the Necro thing is a downside, actually, because I do believe...
Yeah, because you don't play it.
Well, no, I do. I played a Nob and stuff, and I have played Rogside and things like that. And
yeah, well, you don't play Born in Nob.
Not Nob, but hear me out for a second here. When I was talking about Nadu and some of these other things, even Fastpawn, the same conversation where I'm like, they're very busted things, but they are not crossing that barrier of being too good. I think Born Necro is something that crossed the barrier into being too good. I think it's the reason that Rogside gets all their turn 2 wins. Like, that is the most common way that they're winning the game on turn 2. And my
just
belief...
turn 1 Necro, pass,
just turn 1 Necro, turn 2, yeah, you Born. And like, that's such an easy play pattern for them. And my belief with bannings is that cards need to fit into one of 2 categories. They either need to be broken enablement that is too far ahead of everything else, which is where Born falls into that category, or they need to be something that is hindering or bottlenecking the diversity of the format in a way that's not healthy. And that's where I put cards like Orcish Bowmaster, where like Orcish Bowmaster for a long time just took stacks out of the format, and that's why we were in such a proactive meta paired with the brokenness of Born Upon a Wind. And I think that taking away Born Upon a Wind still leaves everyone's strategies and their goals the same as they are. It's not like you're taking away the ability to do anything that deck wants to do outside of the Born Necro, right? Or the instant speed over the top win. You can still do in other ways, but it gets rid of this like I draw 40 and I can win in my end step type bullshit that was so broken with Born. While it still lets Grixis strategies do Necro, do Nas, do Breach, they're still doing everything Grixis wants to do. They just lose how broken Born Necro is.
I think it's kind of like a reason to play the color pie though, because I think Adnaz has been around as a turbo win condition for so long, and it is so projected at this point. Like, everyone knows when an ad nause is coming. Everyone knows, Grixis player has 5 mana up. Don't jam. They're just gonna nause on top of you. And it's also the most easily interactable win con in those colors. It's an instant. It's a 5 mana instant. You can spell pierce that shit. They're not gonna have mana. It's become one of the worst. It's still obviously great win condition when it resolves, but it's become one of the worst options for a win condition in Grixis because of how projected and easy it is to stop. And I think Necro being an alternative to that is what gives Grixis piles most of their power. And now that Rogsai is essentially the only turbo deck in the format, obviously some people are still trying to cook with Obnixilus, as you said, but I think they're leaning a little more mid-range now.
Very much, yes.
Taking away those pieces and slowing down what little turbo has remaining in the format just pushes us more into a mid-range grindfest that everyone's been kind of upset about for a while. I mean, that was why people were switching more into turbo, because games were just going like 90 minutes and then time calls, and no one has put a win on the stack because everyone has 40 cards in hand.
Right, so I think that having turbo in the format is a good thing. I want a balanced,
100%.
healthy format. I'm for that entirely. My personal opinion is just that Born Necro crosses that threshold of being too good. And when you combine Born Necro, in my opinion, being too good with just the Born added to it, paired with everything Born does for the parasitic effects of everyone trying to put wins on top of each other and just like holding everything back and being so parasitic, because like you get into these battles where someone has a Born in hand and like they could be stopping win attempt and they just don't. They just let people fight it out until the Thoracle triggers on the stack, and then they're like, all right, now you guys have wasted everything Born. Like, I don't think those are healthy play patterns for the format. I think that's something that should be enabled by like Stella Lead. But that's really it.
And that was my first point about the card. I think that it does enable really degenerate play patterns of exactly stuff like that, where people are sandbagging to the absolute last possible moment so that they can just try and win on top. And I don't like that aspect of the card, but I'm of a difference of opinion with you on how it synergizes with Necro, and that I think that is a boon to Turbo that they kind of need right now in order to close out games in an efficient manner without giving your opponents, an extra turn of time to prepare for them.
That's fair. But I guess combining those two aspects we've talked about, do you think Born is something that should stay, or do you think the format would be better without it?
I mean, I gotta love hate with it, but I'm pretty torn. Like, I do think that the format could get in a healthier position without Born because of those mid-range grindfest examples that we were talking about. It does force you to try and put wins on the stack in a more timely manner rather than waiting until the last turn and when time is called. And I think with how dead Turbo is right now, the trade-off of taking that away from our mid-range players while also shooting Turbo in the foot when they're already on the ground, I don't know. I don't know if I could make that call. I mean,
it's a hard one. I guess it's more if you woke up tomorrow and they were like, Born is banned, would your mindset be, I get it?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would agree with it, but I get it.
That's fair. That's super fair. It's a controversial one. That one's very much.
That is kind of how I felt with Dockside. I mean, I understood the arguments for wanting to ban Dockside. I disagreed with them, but I understand it.
Yeah, no, it's super fair. Well, that was the last card I wanted to talk about today. Anything else you want to bring up?
I don't think so. Oh, I did put one in parentheses that is like kind of a half joke unbanned, but like I really don't think would be that big of an issue for CEDH Ancestral Recall. Just add a little spice at the end of the list, get a little power back in the format.
I think most of the time Ancestral Recall is actually okay. Like, it's not a card I'm super against. I actually like that it stops Thoracle kills. I think is a huge
exactly, dude. It's fun. It's interaction.
But just imagine people start Breach Ancestral Recalling. Imagine that people imagine Krark casting.
I'm imagining, dude. I know. I'm imagining. Dude, you kidding me? They just released a new Teamer Storm commander, Storm. Imagine Storm Ancestral Recall.
Oh god. Yeah, draw 18 cards. It just becomes one mana Nas.
Yeah.
That one.
No, I think the card's funny.
I think it would be an interesting one to like test, right? Like if they put it on probation for a little bit, where they were like, we're gonna like not unban officially, but we're gonna like say it's legal, and we will update you in 6 months. Enjoy yourselves.
Like, it would be cute, you know. I don't think
it'd be fun.
It wouldn't be format warping. It wouldn't be like, I don't know. It's not anything more degenerate than a lot of people aren't already doing, but helps you crack top deck tutors.
I think it helps
over
mulligans a lot.
Yeah.
I think it helps mulligans a lot.
You're like, oh, I mulled to 4, but I have land Ancestral Recall, so I basically mulled to 6. Like,
Pretty much, like that is a real thing, and there are a lot of pros to it. That is a card I would if they could do like a probationary period where they're like, for the next 3 months, Ancestral Recall's unbanned. Like we'll update you in 3 months if it's officially unbanned, but like it's legal right now to play. Enjoy yourselves. And
then you get into situations where the mid-range player mulls to 4, keeps land recall, and then Rogsai swats it.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Yeah, I'll swap that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll draw 3. Appreciate it, dog.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Enjoy your 1 land. Oh, you have 2 cards left in hand? That's crazy.
Oh, tough.
It sucks, bro.
Should have played Brainstorm, bozo.
Oh my god, Brainstorm locking yourself in CDH is so cringe.
Hey,
oh my god.
I've done that a few times today. Alright, you know?
Yeah, Elsha's a deck that like Elsha plays off the top though, so like Elsha can play Brainstorm. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean Brainstorm's like kind of cracked when it happens, but I have definitely had to just value Brainstorm a few times. I'm like, wow, this really feels bad.
This didn't work out. This didn't work out the way I wanted it to work out.
we did not hit the fetch land, boys.
No, you did not. Awesome. Well, I think that's about all we're gonna have time for today. Snaz, thank you so much for joining us today. And one more time, thank you so much for listening to the Colors of Crutch podcast. My name is Max Sternberg, also known as Wounded Satellite. I also do offer CDH coaching. If that's something you're interested in, feel free to find me on Discord or Twitter. We'll have a link to our Discord for Colors of Crutch in the description below, as well as a link to our Patreon page if you want to support the channel. Thank you guys so much for listening today. And Snaz, do you want to shout out where people can find you?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't really do content, but I have a Twitter at Snazzerific MTG, and you find me on Discord sometimes. I don't know. I kind of deleted most of my Discord servers recently, but Snazzerific on Discord if you see me lurking around.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. See you next time.